adjective, and the definitions are of or relating to a social group, tending to associate with others of one's kind, or marked by or indicating a liking for companionship. And in a sentence, the gregarious Toastmaster tried to meet everyone in the room. So that will be the word of the day, so please try to say it in your tabletop speech. Alright, now I would like to get the timer explanation of the minutes.
All table topic speeches will be no more than 2 minutes. To qualify, speakers have to talk a minimum of 1 minute, and we get a green when they do that. At a minute and a half, it will turn to yellow, and once they reach 2 minutes, they will have an additional 30 seconds to wrap things up, or they will be disqualified.
Alright, thank you, Stephen. So now we're going to get into our table topic session. So my first question, since it's Wild West theme, there's been a lot of famous Wild West movies, TV shows, characters, the good, the bad, the ugly, a lot of different kinds. So what I'd like to know, what is your favorite Wild West movie or TV show? It's open to anybody. And you can generally just explain what it's about. Takers?
Oh, just give it a try. Favorite Wild West movie is The Magnificent Seven. Now, the Magnificent Seven, it's not an original story. It's actually based off of an older Japanese tale. I think that makes it interesting because it's a story that's shared across cultures, and it's probably a story you've seen before in other movies. But set in the Wild West, it makes it one of the best Wild West movies I've seen. Stars an ensemble cast of well-known actors of their times, such as Steve McQueen, Charlton Heston, Yul Brynner. He's the bald guy in the Kid and I. Pretty good one. And it's about them. There's a Mexican village, and they're American, and the Mexicans come over and ask them to come and protect their village from bandits. And a lot of them are uncomfortable with doing that. They don't know why they want to go to a foreign country to protect the people. But eventually, they form their team. They grow closer to each other, and they come to love this village that sort of takes them in and makes them part of their own town. There's a lot of good action in the movie. And it's well done, really nice cinematography. So, Magnificent Seven, that's my favorite Wild West movie. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Justin. Wild West movies are actually somewhat of a genre that I really haven't gotten into, so it's actually, I really want to kind of go into more of those movies and see some of those classics. I know that there's a lot of good movies that are Wild West themed. Alright, so moving on to our next question. Now, there's been some famous cartoon characters, but one of them is more Wild West themed, and that character is Speedy Gonzales. And you always remember him as being extremely speedy. People try to catch him, and they never could, because he had, like Usain Bolt's speed, so nobody really ever was able to catch him. So, my question is, how would you try to catch Speedy Gonzales? Steven.
How would I try to catch Speedy Gonzales? The name is actually really interesting to me because growing up, I've never really watched anything about Speedy Gonzales. I've never really heard anything other than what other people have said. I'm not familiar with what cartoon he was on. I'm not familiar with his relationship with other cartoon characters. This gregarious character is one that I'm not sure where he came from. So to try to catch a cartoon character with the name Speedy Gonzales, I wouldn't know where to start. I've heard of other fast cartoons. I know the ostrich, Wile E. Coyote always tries to go after, and I know how he's failed, so I'm not particularly sure what I would do to catch this Speedy Gonzales type. Maybe I would get fast my own self. I assume if he's a cartoon character, maybe I've got powers that can master this speed that he has at his arsenal. Whatever the case, I don't know what I would do. I barely know what he looks like, and I would do my best to succeed. Mr. Toastmaster?
Well, you definitely probably have to become a cartoon character and be very gregarious to catch Speedy Gonzales. It's not the easiest thing to do. Alright, so for my next question, now what's really famous in the Wild West ghetto? Anyone answer that?
What was that again?
What's really famous in like a Wild West ghetto? Like clothes?
The 6-shooter.
6-shooter, yeah, that's one. Yeah, so you have like the kind of cowboy hat. Alright, so here's my question. If you had to wear one of these items for a year, would you rather wear a cowboy hat or a sheriff badge?
Cowboy hat or sheriff's badge? It can't be both. I would have to choose the cowboy hat because everyone wants the sheriff dead. At least that's how it is back in the old movies. It's the sheriff was not one that hated, but all the outlaws hated him. They all hated the sheriff. They all wanted the sheriff dead. And so having that badge would automatically make you sheriff. There was no special election. If you're wearing the badge, you're the sheriff. And you have to ride around on your horse. But if you just have a cowboy hat, you're just a simple regular cowboy townfolk. And you'll all be drinking at the bar, saloon, shooting whiskey, and dancing to saloon girls. That's my one nights coming out. And so I would have to just pick a cowboy hat because also you're in the sun all day. Out in the Wild West. And so I would need protection from the sun. And that's worth more than being a sheriff. Mr. James topics?
Alright, so in the famous gold rush period, there was supposedly a lot of outlaws, there was a lot of gold. You could get rich in just days if you found a bunch of gold. So my question is, what would you do if you lived during the gold rush period in the West? Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Tabletop's Master, fellow Toastmasters, and many guests. I thought about this question before, and I've heard the answer before too. If I was at the peak of the gold rush, where gold was just all over the place, and sellers were coming from miles and miles away to come and pan the gold and get all those big gold nuggets, I would not be with them. I wouldn't be there. Instead, I'd have a big shop with signs saying, shovels and pans here. And I would sell for everybody that wants to be the new gold miner, I would sell them all the equipment. And some insurance to go with it. So if he wasn't one of the lucky ones to get gold, I still sold him shovels. And if something were to happen to him, unfortunately, during those dark, horrible caves, trying to get gold, at least his family would have some life insurance to take care of them. So if I was in the peak of the gold rush days, I wouldn't be getting gold, I would be getting shovels. to sell to the gold miners.
Well, considering though there was a lot of deaths, I don't know if the life insurance would be the best business during the gold rush period. But as well make the money we can. Alright, so this is also relating to the gold rush period and also gold. So there was a lot of gold during the gold rush period. People were digging them hoping to become rich. So they could, I guess, buy a big house, have a farm, have a big family. So my question is, if you found a cave filled with gold, what's the first thing you would buy with all that gold?
Yeah.
If I lived in the gold rush years and I found a cave full of gold, what is the first thing that I would buy? The first thing that I would buy is a house, a place to live. It is something that I really want to do when I get older, that I will buy a house that is really run down and old. And I will live in it for a very long time, and I will fix it up and remodel it and change it. And by the time I am old, it will be exactly the way I want it to be. I think that would be really fun. When I was younger, my family put in tile where we had carpet, and it was really cool to have the construction workers there, and we got to stay in a hotel one night. It was a lot of fun. And so if I did find a bunch of gold in a cave somewhere, I would have to buy a house with it.
And thinking about that, I would probably buy a house too. It's probably one of the better purchases you can ever do. Alright, so this is my last table topics question, so any of you that haven't gone, please have your thinking caps on. So, if you were, let's say you're back in the gold rush period, and there's this kind of villainous guy that doesn't like you, and let's say he's a pretty good marksman, you're a pretty good marksman, and he challenges you to one of those shooting duels, you see, where he walks back maybe about 5 steps and you have to turn and shoot. But there's one catch. If you win, you win $1 million. So now, would you do it, or would you not do it?
Okay. Do you have to do it?
You don't have to do it, you could walk away. So it's either you want to try to do the duel, or you might win $1 million, but also maybe lose your luck, or get shot, or do you just want to walk away? Isaiah.
Yeah.
If I had to choose between being a part of a duel or walking away, because of my experience and my quick reflexes, I would choose the duel. I am a risk taker. I like to take risk. And since you only live once, I feel that why not? Why not put your life at risk once in your life? You can either win $1 million or you can walk away. And because I take risk and sometimes don't think about what I'm doing, I'd rather just go with impulse and take out a gun and take my chances with my own life.